Welcome back, familiar to Northside LDN Caramba, and today we've got two players been linked to Newcastle. So we've got a lovely guest, Kendall, today, but today she's the ops today because she's looking to pip us to two players. They've already took Willock. What else do they want? Do you remember when Bruno Guimaraes as well? He was revealed for the Newcastle as a Newcastle player, and he kind of shrugged his shoulder at Arsenal and think, nah, I'm going Newcastle. I like it over there, north side of England, prefer it over there. So we're going to get into that and more. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you also subscribe to Kendall Rowan. Link to our channel is in the title of the show. But first of all, Kendall, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Good. I honestly, talking about Bruno and Willock there, I was thinking two players. I know Willock because I am like the biggest Willock fan on earth. Like genuinely, he's my guy. Like I will back this guy until when he leaves the club. I will genuinely back this guy forever. Like I honestly love so much to Arsenal for doing that. And I know obviously Arsenal fans are always like, well, we got Odegaard with that money. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but we got Willock, so I don't care. I'm happy. It worked all around for both parties. Obviously Bruno threw a little bit of shade into Arsenal when he signed for us. I still don't know why that happened, but yeah, otherwise good and having a decent season so far, like you guys are as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let's get straight into it. Balogun being linked to Newcastle at the moment. Obviously, you guys have got strikers like Alexander Isak, but you don't really have. I don't know if you think it's fair for me to say a prolific goal scorer. Is Balogun really that? I mean, he's out there in Ligue 1 on loan with Reims. I think he's the highest scoring player right now in Ligue 1. For me, I mean, let's get into you. Before I say my bit, let's get into you. Would you take Balogun at Newcastle in the summer?
You know what, right? I've always said since Eddie Howe came in, I've seen how many players improved under him. Like literally every single player's improved. I have said that there's a lot of players that I would previously not have said that I would take, now that I would. So like we would be linked to like certain people in the past, and I've always said no, I just wouldn't have them. But under Eddie Howe, I would genuinely take anyone. And Balogun is very much the profile of, seems to be what the club's going for now. And we've gone with the experienced Premier League players in like the likes of Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn, Nick Pope, things like that. We've done that. That's been and done that because we just needed that to stay up. Now they're kind of going for the likes of young people like Alexander Isak and things like that. Obviously Balogun is only 21, I think. I'm sure he is. And as you say, he's doing pretty well over in France for Rennes this year. But I would still take him. Again, you can't. I know like everyone's obviously going to say it's different level. Premier League's so different to League One and things like that, but you can't like deny form and talent and skill. You still got to be as good. Obviously there's a lot of players that have come from the French league who have done really, really well in the Premier League. So yeah, I would 100% take him. 100%.
Fair enough. I mean, for me, as long as you give us 40 to 45 million pounds, you can have him. I'll be honest with you, because honestly, like this season, whether we win the league or not, hopefully we do, we're going into the Champions League. And one thing I don't want to see from Arsenal is going into the Champions League with players that are not Champions League ready. And what I mean by ready is ready to win it. We had so many years under Arsene Wenger that we would just get into the quarterfinals getting knocked out. And I want things to change. We're going for the league title. We need to also now start putting in players into this team that can compete in all fronts, in the Premier League and for the Champions League, and actually go out there to actually win it. Because I feel like there's no point being in the Champions League if you're just getting in it just to qualify for it and you're not actually competing. So for me, I don't think Balogun is ready yet. Could he push us to win the Champions League? No. Is he good enough to be a starter for Arsenal? No. I actually do rate him. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Eddie Nketiah, if I'll be completely honest with you. So for us, I mean, unless he's going to be happy being third choice, I would get rid of Nketiah, because I think we've seen the best of Nketiah, and I don't ultimately think he's good enough. We've even played Trossard in that position of Eddie Nketiah. So for me, I'd rather go get like an Ivan Toney. I'd go get a striker along those lines. A player, even a João Felix, if he doesn't stay at Chelsea, if they don't, sign him on the permanent, he's there on the loan. I'd go out and get somebody like that. Somebody that if, Jesus gets injured once again, we got a striker as good, if not better, and could offer us something different. So for me, I really like Balogun. I would like to keep him over Nketiah. I'd sell Nketiah before I'd sell Balogun. No shade on Balogun. I think he's actually got a very high ceiling. But the rumours are that he wouldn't want to be a third choice at Arsenal, and I kind of respect that. I respect that he trusts himself enough, kind of like Willock, saying that, you know what, I don't want to be third choice in my position. I want to go out there, I want to be a starter, I want to fight for my place, I want to be out there and showing my worth. So for me, at the right price, I would sell him if he's not happy, but I'd rather sell Nketiah. I think for you guys, I mean, you lot right now, what are you, 5th in the table? Are you 5th? Yeah, you're 5th.
Yeah, 5th, yeah.
The 5th. So you're going up against Tottenham and Liverpool for that 4th spot. The one thing that they've got over you is they got prolific goal scorers that can score 15, 20 goals a season. And is Balogun really going to be the player that's going to be able to do that? I don't really think so. And I think you guys need a prolific goal scorer to add to your team that is guaranteed at least 15, 20 goals so that you guys can cement yourself as a top 4 side. You've definitely got the money with your new ownership. So I don't know if Balogun would be great for you guys in that sense to where you want to be at. I mean, I'm sure you lot want to keep elevating. And I'm not sure that Balogun is that right striker for you. You might have the right assets and attributes, but is he going to give you 15, 20 goals a season? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't, even if we got him, again, this is why I don't think it'll happen, because he's not coming in to be a starter. He's just not. Where I just can't see it, because even Alexander Isak, it's took Eddie Howe months. I know he was injured, like obviously over the World Cup and stuff, he's just come back into fitness fully, but it's even took him months to even start him. And Callum Wilson's not I think he scored 1 goal since November or something stupid like that. So I don't think he will come in as a starter anyway, so hence why I don't think it'll happen, because obviously if he's saying he's not happy to be third choice striker at Arsenal, he's not going to want to then come to Newcastle and be like second, third choice if we then sign someone over Callum Wilson, because I don't think Callum Wilson's probably going to stay maximum probably another season. I just can't see him staying much longer than that. And as you say, Alexander Isak's a little bit of a different player, because he's not going to be our number 9, if that makes sense. Like, yes, he can play then, he is a striker, but in our system, I think he does a lot more than that. I think we'll probably sign another striker in the summer. That's where I'm probably going, because we let Chris Wood go and didn't sign anyone in place of him. So yeah, I can't see it happening right now. Because again, he's not going to be a starter week in and week out, which he probably at the moment, based on form, he probably deserves. But yeah, I just can't. So I'm agreeing with you. I haven't seen loads of him play loads either. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to get us 15, 20 goals, or he's not, because I actually don't know. And if you look at his stats this season, you'd be like, well, yeah, he'll probably get you 15. But the Premier League's so much different. Even if, as I said earlier, you do have the skills and the talent to be a decent striker, it's just still really hard in the Premier League, because it's just so the level and the style of play is so different. And I watch a lot of La Liga as well, so I know how different styles can be across Europe even. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I just can't see it happening, because he's not going to want to come again to not play a lot, and I just can't see that happening and being a starter week in week out. So yeah. Yeah,
I mean, you got Joe Linton that now you're kind of playing more of a midfielder that can play in that position. You got Callum Wilson. He's not a top level striker, but I get it. You lot are gradually growing, and I actually credit you guys in the way that you're building your squad. I think you're building a harmonious squad. There's no egos. Everyone fits into a system. Your manager's getting the best out of that system and out of the players. But then you look at Alexander Isak, which I remember when Arsenal fans were turking for him, thinking that he was coming to London.
When he was in London, because if you see his number plate, I remember that. When he was on holiday.
I swear down, man. This fan base just embarrassed me.
Too funny.
He could be, listen, he might have a new girl that lives in London. You don't know why he's coming London. He might be coming because he's going Harrods. Nobody knows, you know what I mean? But this Arsenal fan base, like, these guys, bro, they're so... But they're worse than a jealous girlfriend. I'm telling you, they'll track you down. You know what I mean? They will track you down.
Honestly, I've been there, done that with my fan base. We playing track and all sorts. So I've been there. I understand.
These guys are mad, tracking down planes, tracking down cars. It was all crazy, man. Do you know what I mean? But you got a lot of even Saint Maximin. I really rate Saint Maximin. I think he's a techie baller. But none of them have got like major output. None of them scream to me 15, 20 goals a season. I think
it's like Almiron's our highest scorer this season. He's got 11 goals so far, and that's more than he's had in the previous 120 appearances or something.
Mm.
So
That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? So why would you add Balogun that is not Premier League proven? You don't know how great he is. Yes, he's having a great season in Ligue 1, but then we've seen Werner come to the Premier League. We've seen other players that look great in other leagues in the top 5 of the world, and then come to the Premier League and not really do it enough. And he's got less experience than someone like a Werner and players like that. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of a risk. Obviously for you guys, 40 million, 45 million isn't going to break the bank for you lot. You lot got money. But I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's other strikers I think you could go out for, and I think would give you more goals. I think you just need a deadly goal scorer. And if you don't get the top 4 this season, I think that's what it comes down to. Inconsistency and not having a man that can score you 15, 20 goals a season. But now let's go on to the next player. And this one here, yeah, you lot we're gonna fall out, yeah. Leave Kieran Tierney alone. Leave Kieran Tierney alone. I want him to stay, yeah. Go look elsewhere. Take your big boy money, yeah. Take your big boy money somewhere else. I want this guy to stay here. Kieran Tierney being linked to Newcastle. Obviously, Arteta's not really playing him. He's preferring Zinchenko that can play inverted. And listen, let's go to you. Would you take Kieran Tierney? I mean, you got Trippier on the right hand side, Tierney on the left hand side. Would you think that you would improve your team?
Yeah, I think so. Because as I was saying to you, obviously, before we went live, like the only left back options we have right now, obviously Dan Burn has filled in for most of the season at left back, and he's done a pretty decent job, to be fair to him. But he's not a left back. I know he's played any season, but he's just not a left back. And for the way we play, defensively, yes, he's fine, and he is getting a lot better at being attacking minded. But we don't. He's just not. He's not going to be our left back long term. Obviously, we signed Matt Target on a permanent in the summer, and I was really happy about that because he suits how we play a lot more. But again, he hasn't come back into the squad again, and Eddie Howe's got a little bit of a thing with loyalty, and I think if you play well and he rewards you with keeping you in the team. Hence why Dan Burn's still playing. And then we've only got Jamal Lewis, who. He's just not going to be a left back in the Premier League. It's just plain and simple as that. When we signed him, I thought, you know what, he's going to be really decent. Liverpool were after him at the time as well, and we signed him over Liverpool. And this is under Mike Ashley as well. So we thought we were getting a great cop from Norwich, and Norwich were pretty well known at the time for their full-backs with Max Aarons and things like that. But he's just not going to be a Premier, especially if we want to obviously fight for Champions League, European football weekend, season in, season out. He's just not going to be. And then Paul Dummett's our other friggin', I don't even know why he's still there, to be fair. I think he's just one of them, one of them players who just hang about. Rob Holding sort of situation. He just to be fair, that's actually very cheeky, Rob Holding, because Rob Holding's all right. But he just hangs about there because he's local and he's a Geordie and he's come in the academy and homegrown court and all that. He's a
side man. He's a side man. Do you know when you're on a night out, with your boys, you're all single, and there's a side man. Everyone's moving, and they're just hanging about. And then you go and move to the thing, and then they're just hanging.
He's got no game. He's just like a voyeur. That's what I always call him. He's like a voyeur, just watching everyone else have fun, and he's just sat there But yeah, so we, as I said, we don't really have full-back options on either side. To be fair, we obviously signed Harrison Ashby from West Ham in January to be kind of Kieran Trippier understudy situation. But yeah, full-back situation, we don't really have any. So I would 100% take Kieran Tierney. However, at this point in time, as you guys will know, fitness and injuries are an issue with Kieran Tierney. So that for me is a problem because we don't have the depth to kind of cover that anyway. So I'd have a problem with signing a player who, this is not to blame on him or anything like that, because he's still a really, really decent player and I still really like him. But we don't have the depth to provide a player with previous injury issues a place in the squad, if that makes sense. We need someone who's going to be and I know you can't judge injuries. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Yet you don't know if a player's going to get injured. You just don't. Look, Isak never been injured in his whole career for more than a week, and he ended up with a 3-month-long injury when he started for Newcastle. So you can't judge things like that. But yeah, I would still take him, but I would really just hope that we kind of had other backups just in case he did get injured, because again, we can't. It's going to take us at least probably 2-3 seasons to even build up the depth that the likes of, I don't know, even Tottenham have. We just don't have depth at all. So yeah, that would be my only negative towards him, but I still think he's a good player, and I think he's probably a player that would do well under Eddie Howe as well.
No, 100%. I think he will do wonders for you lot. And for me, I just feel like one thing I don't understand with Arsenal. As soon as we had Kieran Tierney, the fan base is gassing up Kieran Tierney, best left back in the world, this and that. Then when we get the new toy, you just discard the old toy. These lot are like kids, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, you need different tools in the bag to be able to address different tactics, change up games when it's not going your way, you know what I mean? Implement different styles. And sometimes I feel like Arsenal fans don't really understand that. Yes, you got Zinchenko that can be inverted and we can control the midfield. At times, it leaves a gaping hole in the left-hand side. And sometimes you need a Kieran Tierney that's going to overlap somebody like a Martinelli, especially when we play a traditional number 9 or traditional striker, box-to-box striker like a Eddie Nketiah. He doesn't really link up play. He doesn't really bring Martinelli into the game. So if you have a left back that overlaps him, then he has another option that releases him, and he's a lot more dangerous. He has a lot more options. And Zinchenko doesn't never do that. And Zinchenko never overlaps on the left-hand side. And that's what I don't understand with some Arsenal fans kind of like discarding Kieran Tierney, even the manager discarding him. And I think he does a job sometimes that is needed.
Especially if you're going to go into Champions League as well, because there's so many different tactics on display, so many different styles of play, formations, that you're going to have to switch it up at some stage. So I probably 100% get what you mean there, because you need that other option to just, so you're not predictable all the time, because that's kind of been our issue. Like, we've been very predictable. Most of our play comes from the right-hand side. Trippier to Almiron. Almiron kind of drags it out wide, cuts back in his left because he doesn't have a right foot. And everyone knows how to defend against us now, so you 100% need options off the bench. So I'm with you on that one. I don't think you should discard players just like that, but that's what football fans are like. We're all probably guilty of it at times, like just fickle flip-flops. Like, as soon as you get something new, the old ones goes out the window. But I think he's a really, really good player.
Yeah, he's a good player, man. Defensively, he's solid. He's defensively better than Zinchenko. He's as fast, if not faster, and he actually overlaps and gives you a good cross into the box, and he sometimes even bags you a goal. So I think there's a lot that is good to Kieran Tierney, and I think if you manage to get him, listen, he looks upset. He's not getting a lot of game time. For some reason, he's always on the bench. I know sometimes he's injured, but there's been games where he's been on the bench. He could have started, even cup games, you know, or Europa games and Europa League, and he's not even getting the chances in those games. And I'm thinking, what's going on, man? This guy is one of the best left backs in the world. I really rate him that highly, and I just feel like he's been underused in the system. And it is what it is. I mean, it's Arteta's decision. It's up to what he wants. But listen, it might be your game if Arteta doesn't fancy him, and the player and his agent want to go elsewhere. I think Newcastle's a great project. So listen, it is what it is. For me, I hope you don't touch him. What one left back I would suggest to you that you can have from Arsenal is Nuno Tavares.
I knew you were going to say that.
This bum, bro. I'm so sick and tired of this flipping Portuguese Usain Bolt, bro. That's all he does. Toca this filho da puta. You can have him. You can have him on a free. You know what I mean? You can have him on a free. We'll send him up there. We'll pay for his ticket. Go King Cross. One direct train straight up there to Newcastle. You can have him.
I'm sorry to bring it up, but you know when we beat you guys at home last season, like at St James's Park, wasn't he actually? I'm sure it was him that was playing. He was actually horrendous. Like, he was like the worst player I've ever seen. And I was saying to my dad, I was like, there's no way that's got to be an off day, because there's no way he's that bad. Like, you can't, surely not. Cause I remember saying to my dad at the time, I was like, he's not. I've watched him, he's not. But then all Arsenal fans are like, yeah, he's literally just, that's how bad he is.
He can't be Portuguese. We're not claiming him. We're not claiming him. Now, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Right now, you go to the Badia right now in Portugal, yeah? Even an 8-year-old kid got more tech than this guy. This guy is a bum, yeah? Absolute bum. This guy don't do
Where's
nothing.
Where's he at now? In France?
Huh?
Where's
He's in
he
France.
at now?
Yeah. He's in France, yeah. And apparently, they're saying that they want to get rid of him. They want the loan to be cut short. I like the process though, man. Project Youth. Don't you want some of the Project Youth players? You can have him.
No, we don't need another project. Especially one with no hope. I'm a bit like, oh God. I'm just looking at him now, seeing where you've got him from. Oh, I didn't even realise he came from Benfica, you know. I should have just
even Benfica ain't claiming him, man. Even Benfica ain't claiming him. The big boys that come out of Benfica, like, you know, David Luiz. There's been loads of players that come out of nah. We don't claim him, because that's my second team. That's my Portuguese team. We don't claim him. I don't know where this guy come from. Maybe he come from Sporting or something. I don't know. I don't know. But he's not one of us. This guy is dreadful. You can have him on a free. You know what I mean? We're not even going to charge you. That's how dead he is. It's a free.
Like charity work, like doing some charity, giving away for charity.
To
be fair, we used to be that team. Like people would just give us players for charity, like. But now, like, we're getting linked with players like Scott McTominay, and I'm like, absolutely not. Like, we are not a charity case anymore. We do not need Scott McTominay. Like, stop trying to be like the hero and the savior. Like, I don't know why we're trying to be like the Avengers of football. Like, leave people be. Like, stop. We don't need to have these people anymore. Like, we can actually sign like Bruno players and Isak players, not bloody Scott McTominay.
I'm telling you, like, Nuntavage looks like he's going to drop a new Afrobeats tune more than he's going to get ready for a Premier League game. I'm done with this guy, man. You know,
he might do like a Memphis Depay or like a I don't know if anyone remembers Vernon Anita, who used to play for Newcastle as well. He's like a rapper now. So
Newcastle records, man. That's what I'm talking about. Leave Tierney alone, man. Leave Tierney alone, please. You know what I mean? I know you lot got the big boy peas, but just allow me, please. I really like Tierney, man. I really like Tierney. I think if you lot come with the right price, you'll get him. And you lot got the money right now. So it's mad. It's mad for us right now. But let's go on to Newcastle and your thoughts on Newcastle recently. Obviously, your results. You won against Wolverhampton. Before that, you lost to Man City. You lost to Man United. Both games 2-0. You lost to Liverpool 2-0. You drew against Bournemouth. You drew against West Ham. A couple of League Cup games. You drew to Crystal Palace. You won against Fulham. You won against Leicester. And you drew against us. That was in the 3rd of January. So that's just looking back a little bit. A lot of draws, Kendall. A lot of draws. And do you think that's been the reason why you've dropped out of the top 4 a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. But as we mentioned just before, the problem has been goals. So we've been creating chances every single game. We've been on top. I've not seen, even like when we played Liverpool and we got beat 2-0, fair enough. But we weren't like the worst team by a long chalk or anything like that. It was just, we just couldn't score goals. Callum Wilson's been well off the pace since the World Cup. I think he feels like he's kind of reached the pinnacle of his career now, because that was what he was working towards, the World Cup. He's got there. I just think he's kind of, I think he had COVID as well at Christmas. And a lot of people close to him are saying that he's like suffering from long COVID. Almiron, he just wasn't even, like, obviously we've seen throughout the season, like he was having a goal of the season, like competition with himself early in the season, like every single month it was like goal of the month, like every time. And he wasn't even like taking chances outside the box anymore. We were trying to walk the ball in. Isak wasn't playing for whatever reason. He wasn't fit enough. Obviously Bruno was missing for 3 games. So things have just come at a time where like it was really important. We had the final as well, obviously the Carabao Cup final. And if anyone watched that, which probably a lot of people did, you would have seen that we had a million chances. We just didn't convert them, which has been our problem. Obviously, we played Wolves at the weekend and beat Wolves 2-1. But again, that game, yes, we won, so I'm not going to complain, but that game should have been put to bed in the first half. It should have been 3-0 in the first half, easily. But we just haven't got the goals at the moment. So I'm just hoping, like Joe Linton's missing on Friday, but then he's back because he's been suspended for 2 games for yellow cards. I'm just hoping that now like Isak gets a chance in the team. St. Maximin's kind of getting his place back. So we might see a little bit of a change, but we just needed a change of personnel. We were desperate for a change in the starting 11, because that starting 11, it's been the same since like the first day of the season kicked off. And if like apart from injuries, we've had the same starting 11. You could, like, you know, when you like do, obviously you'd probably do previews for games and you have like a predicted starting 11. Like there was literally every probably content creator on the planet Earth would have known ours, because it was just the same every single week. It was exact same. So yeah, just needed a break, needed a bit of a switch up, and hopefully now we've kind of, if you look at the run on paper, we've kind of got a favourable run. I say that very lightly because anything can happen in this frigging Premier League, anything. But we've kind of got games now. Like obviously we had Wolves, we've got Nottingham Forest, but then actually I think we've got Man United. Yeah, we've got Man United next, so ignore that Man United game. But it is at home, so I'm hoping that goes okay. But yeah, just goals have been a massive issue. As I said earlier, we've won as many as we have drawn. So kind of you can't draw your way to a Champions League place. It just doesn't happen. So we really need to fix up now.
No, 100%. Listen, I need to install some Portuguese discipline up in there. Puta que pariu. Like and subscribe before I dash this chinelo at the camera. Like and subscribe. Kendall's link is in the description. Don't be a viado. Don't be a filo da puta. Just like and subscribe. You know what I mean? We're here wasting time. We should be spending time with our family, having dinner, having lunch. I'm probably sure she got some, you know what I mean, some shisha date with her friends and that. We're out here giving you a life. So hit the like and subscribe. Don't be a viado. Don't be a filo da puta. Come on, it is what it is. But back to what you were saying about the lineup. Were you happy that Almiron was dropped? Because that goal was saucing, bro. That guy is a baller, absolute baller. But he has not been performing the way he should be performing. But that goal, come on. He's a baller.
Look who passed the ball. My boy Willock, man. No, I'm joking. But
wait.
Willock passed
You rate Willock more than Guimarães and more than...
No, I don't rate him more than Bruno. No, I don't. But I do. I love like Joe Willock so much. Like honestly, I backed him so much. I know like the purple patch happened and stuff, and like everyone was backing him then. We were like, oh yes, we've got to sign him permanently. And then I genuinely thought that we weren't going to, because it went right down to the last day of the window. And I remember like being like, oh, we're gonna like really miss out. And then obviously the whole team was just shit at the time. Like we weren't doing anything. Like he just was in a bad patch at the time. He was homesick. He said that's fair enough. He's a young lad. Like he was homesick. He left the club that he'd been at since 8-year-old. So yeah, but I still back him. I don't rate him more than Bruno, because I think Bruno's absolutely like he's a world class player. But Joe Willock I just love. But Almiron, yes, I think he should have been dropped. As I said, we just needed the changes. Like there was players that deserved their place a lot more than others at the weekend, and Almiron just hadn't been performing. And I think he kind of got a little bit complacent with his place, because we don't really have another right winger like that at all. Gordon, fair enough, he can play on the wing, but he was injured, so we didn't have like another option there. So he kind of just settled into his place, same as Trippier. We don't really have anyone to take these guys' places at the time. But yeah, Jacob Murphy came in for him, to be fair, and I actually thought Jacob Murphy played really, really, really well at the weekend. I was actually really shocked. He had a really good game, and the front three that started at Wolves, that's the front three I would have personally again on Friday, and I would just kind of bring Almiron off the bench, because he does do a little bit better when he's got a point to prove. So at the weekend we needed a goal, he did it because he had a point to prove coming off the bench. But yeah, I think he just needed a reality check really, because we just needed to switch it up and just try something different.
No, 100%. I think Isak took his goal very well as well from the set piece. I think he took his goal very well. He just needs a bit of time to adjust. Obviously, he's coming from La Liga.
Yeah.
I really like Saint Maximin. What's your thoughts for Saint Maximin? Because he's got the skills, he's got the tech, but sometimes he reminds me a little bit of Pepe. He holds onto the ball a bit too much. He's not too, sometimes he can release the ball a bit faster. He can be a bit more direct. And sometimes I think he just does a bit too much sometimes when he can make the game a bit more simple. What do you think of Maximin?
Yeah, 100%. And the thing with Maxi, like I've even had pelters of my own fans, because I really, again, like Joe Willock, I back this guy to the ends of the earth. I always stick up for him and like defend him against people. And it's because I know I can see what he can be, like when he's got the correct mindset. And unfortunately, it's been his downfall at times. Like we've seen in the past with him, where I don't know if you've had a player like this in the past, but if he's had a bad game, he'll just pretend to be injured, and then he gets brought off because he's having a really crap game. Like he just like limps about, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like just fix up. Like you need to kind of recover from that. But he's getting a little bit better than that. And I must say, he's just, my issue with Maxi, he's got all the talent in the world. He's the most one of the most unpredictable players in the Premier League, especially when you're playing against them. Obviously, we've seen Pep on his knees, like just praying that he doesn't do anything when we played Man City earlier in the season. And yeah, he's just a player you would hate to play against if you're a defender. But he doesn't have that instinct in the final third that I need a winger to have, especially when we are really struggling with goals at the moment. He doesn't, as you said, he either holds on the ball too long, or he'll place a pass and it's not a forward, like attack and think and pass. It's like he drags it backwards, and then he tries to walk the ball in the box when he should have passed it earlier. Like it's just that he just lacks that like instinct to know which pass to play, whereas other players in the squad, like Willock, like Bruno, like even Joe Linton at the time, they know when to play the ball. And that is the only problem that I have. And I just don't know whether that's something that can come with time because he's now like what 25 years old. I don't know. I know that's still young, but I just to me, if you're lacking that killer instinct as a winger, as a creative winger, like that's a problem to me. So I just don't know whether it's like he just needs to work on that or what. But yeah, he just doesn't. If he has 3 choices of a pass, he will probably 8 times out of 10 play the wrong one. And I'm like, it's like annoying because I know how good he actually is when he's genuinely on form. He's so good. He's such a good player, and that's why I support him so much and I back him. But I wish he'd just get quicker. Like even at the weekend, he was just if there's 2 players coming towards him, instead of dragging the ball, I'm not even not a professional footballer, like, but it's just like common sense to me in my brain, right? So I don't know who I think I am. because I'm like, obviously he's a professional footballer and like 100 grand sat at home doing a YouTube video. But instead of dragging the ball out and just completely diminishing them 2 players, he'll try and dribble through them. And I just don't know why he does that. I'm like, what? I genuinely don't know why you would think to do that. And I don't know if he doesn't just trust himself in terms of like doing that, and he'd rather just do what he knows and dribble and do his showboating and whatever. But yeah, that's the only problem I have with him. But I still really like him, and I still would absolutely keep him. He hasn't had a long run in the squad this season specifically. He was out injured, and then he hasn't been starting. So he just needs that consistency again, and hopefully with players around him who can provide the passing and he can kind of learn from, then hopefully he'll get better. But yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, the amount of times you keep mentioning Willett, we should have charged you double. You know what I'm saying?
I love Willett, man. Honestly, like people always laugh because I'm such a Willett fan. Like it's unbelievable. I love him so much. Like, and he's just improved massively. Like he had the game of his life at the weekend. Like he was man of the match at the weekend, and he's just improved his game so much. And there's not a lot of midfielders in the Premier League who are an athlete like Joe Willock. So obviously I know football players are all athletes, but in terms of like some players are footballers, like Bruno is a footballer. He's not an athlete. You're not going to like race. He's not going to be good in a race. Whereas like Joe Willock, he's got the pace, he's got the technique. Like he's just a really, really good box-to-box midfielder. I like him a lot. And I always tweet whenever he does good, I'm like, thank you, Arsenal.
You're welcome. Remember, you better return the favor. You know, one day you got a baller that we want. You know what? I'd actually take that Botman. You know what I mean? Salah's Botman, man. Half price. Go, man. 75% off.
As I said, we have charity cases now, so I'm more like happy that we'll keep on like holding players like that now. Whereas before, I'd just be like, oh, everyone's just gonna leave. But yeah, I'm Botman again. He's another one who's what a signing for like 35 million. He's just unbelievable centre back. Unbelievable.
Top centre back, man. Top centre back. I mean, with Saint Maximin, I think a lot of your complaints and a lot of your frustrations with him reminds me a lot of Pepe. Pepe, in terms of skills, the guy can take a player on, take another player on. You know, he's got that ability to beat a man. But then sometimes he holds on to it so long, he can get doubled up on, lose the ball, or doesn't see a run from the striker, or from a winger, or from one of the midfielders. He doesn't see the run, and he cuts it back and then plays it backwards. And it's like, well, if you played it forward into the player that's making that run, we've got a good counter-attacking option there. But you'd rather cut it in and play it safe. And that's, I think, Saint Maximin kind of reminds me of Pepe, that if they can cut that out of their game and be a bit more direct with the ability that they have to beat a man that a lot of wingers don't actually have. You know, I mean, I look at wingers like Mo Salah. He's somebody that performs very well if he's got space. But if you put 2 men on him, he hasn't got the ability to take on both of those players, nutmeg them, take them out the game, and then cut it back in. He needs space, and he's effective that way. And I think that Saint Maximin and Pepe actually got the ability to take guys out. They're actual ballers. Kind of like Abel Tarab. I mean, I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, Del Tarab, Streets Won't Forget, Hatem Ben Arfa and all that. That's honestly, Ben Arfa is literally, St. Maximin is like a Ben Arfa regen, but just not as good. Like everything he does is frustratingly, it's just like a frustrating version of Ben Arfa, because Ben Arfa was much more direct and actually scored goals, but like the skills and just the technique that he has and the ability, as you say, to take on a player is just so Ben Arfa, but he just lacks that final third that Ben Arfa actually had, like at the time.
It's the vision. They play like they're playing in the streets, but they don't have the tactical nous to know, okay, cool, I beat a man, who's making a run, who can I rely on? And maybe with St. Maximin, maybe, I mean, I don't know, but maybe with St. Maximin, for so long, he's been playing in this Newcastle side where he can't trust the players around him. that he doesn't believe in the players around him, that he feels like he's got to take it on. I think it's the same thing with Zaha at Crystal Palace, that when he looks at the talent around him, he doesn't feel like that talent is talent. And I've played football where I'm not bigging myself up, but I've played with people in Power League that I feel like when I don't trust the players around me, I'm more reluctant to pass, more reluctant to see.
You try and like do stuff yourself, don't you? Like, I know that's a great point. I actually do agree with you. And to be fair to him, he has said, him and Isak have both said in separate interviews away from each other that they play really well together. And it's just now the last 2 games that they've actually had a chance to. So I'm hoping that helps a lot more. Because Callum Wilson's not a player who will drop deep or occupy spaces like Isak would, because Callum Wilson is just a number 9. He's a traditional number 9, and I'm not knocking him for that at all. He's just a number 9. He's just in the right place at the right time in the box, but he doesn't really affect the game like Isak does. So I'm hoping, kind of like moving on from what you're saying, that Maxi does have more trust in players like Isak and can kind of work on that, and maybe the instinct and the passing will come. But he's just such a good player. He's so good to watch.
Yeah, no, 100%. Listen, we're gonna get into your fixtures coming up. On behalf of all Arsenal fans, I'm begging you right now, Nossa Senhora Fatima do Céu, please. Yeah, I'm praying to Nossa Senhora Fatima do Céu. Please, I'm telling you right now, you lot need to push Tottenham out of this top 4 race. I want these guys in the mud. I want them ashuda lagrima de sang. Do you know what lagrima de sang means? It means tears of blood. I want these lot crying. I want them weeping. I want them stressed. I want them on Twitter doing keyboard warriors. I want these fools that put that in the mud. You lot have got one task, and the task is to get top 4 and make sure that Tottenham don't get there. Because the guy that comes on this channel, Deji, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Yeah, at the end of the season, he's going to be having bloodshot eyes, yellow eyes. I'm going to be cooking him in Spanish, cooking him in Portuguese, then cooking him in English, bro. Putting him in a flipping mince pie, yeah? I'm putting him in the oven, then get it back up, put it in a flipping barbecue. I can't wait to cook these men. These men are waiting for us to bottle the league. I can't wait. Kendall, I'm telling you right now, yeah? I beg you, just get top 4, and maybe we can think about allowing you to have Balogun in it. That is the deal. Have we got a deal?
Thanks for that. You know what? It depends on what you're asking for Balogun, because you know what, you're saying 40 million and that, and I'm just.
Now, come on, man, you're rich. What are you talking about? That's what you
I know we're rich, but honestly, all our owners ever go on about is bloody FFP. I'm sick of hearing about it. I just want them to go and drop 80 mil on the player. Just shut up and just go and do it. Who's going to say anything? No one. Like, just honestly, get so sick of hearing FFP. But we've got 2 games in hand on Tottenham, and we're only 4 points behind. So yeah. Do you know what though? What gets me annoyed? I'm just looking at the thing now. They've won 15 games, right? So it's only 4 more than us, and they've lost 9 games. I'm like, what the hell? We've only lost 3. I'm like, this is the problem. Like, we've been drawn way too many games since New Year, way too many games, and so it's just the point that we're actually below them now. When I'm just looking at, we really shouldn't be, but yeah, 2 games in hand on them, 4 points behind. Depends how Liverpool do, doesn't it? Liverpool just a bit weird.
The problem is, if you draw 2 games, yeah, you get 2 points. If you lose a game and win a game, you get 3 points, and that accumulates. That extra point accumulates, and that's the problem with you guys. That actually sometimes, 100%. If you lose a game but you get a couple of wins, you get more points further down the road. And you lot are just drawing, and you're not really picking up that many points. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, at least get a point, Yeah, to a degree.
When it matters though, like for stuff like at times a point's not good enough. And I know that sounds bizarre because you'd rather have a point than a loss. Yes, you would, but as you say, it is at the end of the day. To quote famous Steve Bruce, it is an accumulation of points at the end of the day. So it's just like it is so frustrating when I look at like our form and just the results and stuff. Like 11 wins, 11 draws, and we've only lost 3 games, same as you guys. It's just like extra frustrating. But hopefully now we've got a full squad back after Friday, and hopefully everyone just kicks on. But yeah, it would be nice to beat Tottenham in Champions League. But as I've said loads of times, I don't know if we're going to get Champions League this year. And I'm not too fussed if we don't. I know what it would mean if we did, in terms of revenue, in terms of like just a kind of global fans audience, in terms of player pull. I get it, I 100% get it, but I'm not too upset if we don't. As long as we get Europa League, then I'm fine.
Well,
Even Conference League, I would take.
The Balogun deal is off. Don't come knocking. We ain't answering. We're not interested. No.
Balogun
Because no. And you know what? We want extra money as well for Woollock, because we forgot to put performance-based packages in that.
The non-Champions League clause. That'd be like a first in history. If you don't get Champions League, you owe us another 20 mil. They need you on the board, Arsenal. I'm pretty sure they'll love a contract like clause and a contract like that.
You know what I mean? Listen, I'm happy for Woollock, man. Listen, I can't begrudge a player that wants to go and play. To be honest, I respect him more than sitting on the bench like Rob Holding in the all for nothing flipping documentary saying, "Oh yeah, I'm happy being a bench boy." Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, the only thing that guy worked on is his hairline. That is about it. You don't work on his football, but I'm done with that.
That is the best comeback of all time. Best comeback of all time.
It's sharp. It's looking sharp now.
He even can get a bubble in it now. I'm like, how on earth are you tying your hair up? Like, genuinely, what is that? That's crazy.
Maybe you could be twinning with me, get a man bun. It's calm, man. It's calm. We do this. But listen, we've got a couple of questions for you before we get into the Arsenal section and get your thoughts on what you think about Arsenal this season. D1, big up to you, Familia. He says, Kendall, what's your thoughts on Anthony Gordon that you got from Everton?
I'm not gonna lie, I hated Anthony Gordon at Everton. I absolutely couldn't stand him. I was so mad. Like, I was like, I don't want this Gail Platt looking person anywhere near my club. I don't want that wig anywhere near my club. Like, leave us alone. Obviously then it kind of changed a little bit because we paid 45 million for him, but we got 25 back from Chris Wood and from John Joe Shelby going to Forest. So 20 mil, I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll take that. And I'll give him a chance because, as you probably know yourself, you'll have signed players in the past and thought, what the absolute hell? And then as soon as they pull on the shirt of the club, it's like, oh, you love them. Like, and then he did his interview, the first hand, and he was really good and he seemed really genuine and really honest. And I was like, you know what, I will give him a chance because he is only a young lad. He's 22-year-old. And I was like, I'll give him a chance and see what he does. He came on for like 20 minutes. I can't remember who he played against now, but he came on for like 20 minutes and he was class. And I was like, right, that's it. I was like, right, everything I've ever said, I take back. I love this guy. Like, I really rate him. I want him to do well. And no, to be fair to him, he has been really genuine and he has been really sound. And I can tell when he does his interviews. I know players know what to say, but I can tell in his interviews that he's really raw and he just wants to do well as a footballer. So I back him. And honestly, from what I've seen of him, he is actually a really good player.
Fair enough. Kendall, give us 66 million and you can take João Cancelo.
I would absolutely take Cancelo all day long. No bother at all. I mean, that would be a club record fee for us, but I would still take it. I think our club record at the moment is Isak, which is 60. So I'll take it.
That's not bad though, because our club record was for Pepe, what, 72 million? That's not far off.
Yeah, no, 60. I think it's about. I don't know if it was 60 million pounds or 60 million euros for Isak, but I think with add-ons it went up to about 60 mil either way. So yeah.
But I mean, your club keep talking about FFP, but the fact that Matt actually basically was not wasting any money, spending any money, allows you lot to be able to spend a lot of money. You got the fan base. Unlike Man City, you actually got the fan base behind you. You're not spending much money and now your income's growing. You actually got a lot of money that you can spend. So I don't understand why your ownership keeps talking about FFP.
Because there's been a lot of problems where revenue-wise, so Mike Ashley obviously got free advertising for Sports Direct for obviously the 10 years. He was longer, but I think it came into effect like in the European season. So like for 10 years, he had free advertising. So we got no revenue from sponsors, or only very minimal because there wasn't. He just basically took the whole stadium. Like at one point, he painted St James's Park roof for Sports Direct, and this is not a lie, right? So we missed out on revenue there. Our shirt, so Fun 88, which is our shirt sponsor, is only about £5 million a year deal. Not massive, especially when you want to go forward with revenue. So we'll probably get a different one at the end of the season. I think they're going to buy them out of their contract. And there's just certain things that we just didn't have, like. Okay. Anyone who dealt with commercial revenue at the club, which we now do have. It was just like kind of 2-3 people doing everyone's job before. So we've got all that now. So hopefully that helps in the future. But yeah, the FFP thing does my absolute head in. I can't stand hearing it every single time. Every window so far, it's like, oh, Eddie, like, why aren't you making signings? And he's like, we've got to like abide by FFP. And I'm like, I'm sick of hearing it. I'm literally sick of hearing about FFP. Other clubs do it. Why can't we? Like, just go and spend money. Like, you'll make it back. You've got 3 years to do basically whatever you want anyway, as long as you make it back by the end of those 3 years and you've got the proof that you've made revenue to build that back up, you're fine. So I don't understand why every single time at FFP I'm sick of hearing about it. I said on the overlap of the week, we just need to go in the summer, just drop 80 million on a player. Just said there's 80 million, and then it'll just get the elephant out of the room straight away. Then no one can mention FFP anymore. Just, you've spent the money, just go. I'm honestly sick. But to be fair, I am how we've built the team and like what the money that we've spent. I think we've done fantastically so far. We haven't been stupid at all. We haven't made one bad signing so far. God touch wood. We haven't made one bad signing so far, and we've spent. We haven't spent loads and loads and loads of money, so it's been okay so far, so I can't really complain.
So I'm saying, Kendall, this is my G, you know, all the flipping soft ass Arsenal fans talk about it's not FIFA, it's not FIFA, cala a boca, so filho da puta. Even Kendall's coming out with a big chest going, so yo, spend the money, man. Is it my dad's money? Is it my uncle's money? Am I inheriting this club? No, go spend the money, bro.
Exactly.
You know
I always say that. It's not my money, so go and spend it. I'm not going to come.
You've got too many soft fans. No, these are atropellis. These are familia. You know what I mean? This is familia. You're among familia. You know what I mean? You're right. But the majority of this fan base, oh, this is not FIFA. Remember, do you know what? Yeah, I kept saying, yeah, and thank God you're here. Last January transfer window, you guys were in a relegation battle. You went out there, you got Bruno Guimaraes, you went and got all these players, yeah, that are now got you in the position where you are now. Last January, we got rid of 5 to 6 players, didn't bring anyone in, saying, oh, it's hard to buy players in January. You lot did it. So what's the excuse? Do you know, this is the
we kind of used that excuse in January, just gone though as well. We let Chris Wood go, let John Joe Shelby go, and we signed Anthony Gordon, which we it was just random. Like, honestly, January was so weird for me. And I still think Anthony Gordon's a good player, but we didn't address other areas that we should have in January. And it really wasn't, as you said, as hard to do business in January as everyone likes to make it out. And I don't know why clubs do this, where they're like, oh, we can't get players in January. Like, there is players available for the right price. It's as simple as that. Like, just go. And then we messed about for like weeks and weeks in the past few windows over like James Maddison, for example. We said 50 million. Leicester said 70. We then said, all right, no, see you later. Instead of saying 60 mil, all right, whatever, we were just like, nah. So I'm just like, just do it, man. Sometimes I'm just like, I understand why they don't, but sometimes I'm just like, just go and just chuck the checkbook. Just do it. Need to.
Sometimes you just got to. Like, sometimes you can't get a deal. Like, listen, yeah, when you go to Harrods, it's not going like to Wembley Market or Shepherd's Bush Market. You got to go in there. You ain't going to go in there. You know what? Yeah, I like that Fendi, you know. I beg you give it to me for like £50. You're not going to do that, are you? You know, like, you need to know where you're at. You're at Harrods. You got to be like, yo, if the price tag says 700, it is what it even. It's like, but when you go into Shepherd's Bush Market, when you go into Wembley Market, then you can't go in there with it. You know what? Yeah, like, all right, cool. Like, boss man, do me a deal. I beg you. Like, come on, man, we're family. Like, I beg you. Like, I swear down. Like, I swear my mom knows you. Yeah, I beg you, do me a deal. I beg you, bro. And then you can haggle, you know what I mean? Because it's part of the environment, it's part of the culture. But you don't be doing that in Westfields. You don't be doing that in Harrods. You know what I mean? The price tag's a price tag. If you don't want to buy, don't buy it. So listen, I completely understand. I think we've done that. We did it with Mudryk, Rafinha, João Felix, which was only 15 mil. And that would have been a player that would have been able to start with Gabriel Jesus on the bench. And we went and splurged that same amount of money on Jorginho, that's 31 years old. It doesn't really make any sense. Like, what, to any club, really, even a Bournemouth can easily pay a player £15 million. Like, it's not a big deal to Premier League clubs, even at the lower end of the table. But yet we were penny pinching. So I understand the frustration that at times you're like, come on, man. Do you know what I mean? And Edu's just doing nothing, yeah. He's just out there in Rio de Janeiro Carnaval doing nothing, yeah. Twerking with his flipping bunions out, with the flipping Havanas. I'm sick and tired of that guy, bro. I'm sick and tired of that guy.
Edu loves it, doesn't he? Like, Edu just treats it as like a little side hobby. Like, he just loves the fact that he's like, mixing
If
with
I
all these
ever
people and stuff. He loves it. He
met
loves to
Kendall,
feel important. I love
I
it.
meet this guy, I'm telling you, I'll be cussing him in Portuguese. I'm gonna cuss him in his own language, and he knows it's gonna hit his heart. You know the ones there, so it burns you, yeah. Because I'm sick and tired of this guy, bro. Honestly, no, but you know what? Yeah, with football, yeah, Kendall, I'll be real with you, yeah. These men come into work, give 40%. If we go into work here on Monday and give 40%, we're getting fired. And how much are we earning? Do you get it? Like, do you know what I'm saying? But these men can come in, do a 40% or 30% and just be like, oh yeah, but it's, you know, because of this, because of that, hella excuses. You know what I mean? But we can't come into work and do that. We're getting fired. You know what I mean? You're going to be in your warning, last warning. But these men are making millions, giving me excuses. I ain't got time. Honestly, I ain't got time. But that's another conversation. Kendall, are you confident that you can keep Bruno Guimaraes?
Yeah, I am pretty confident. I think he loves it. He wouldn't go to another Premier League team as far as I know. I think the only team we're losing to is a Real Madrid. And they're sniffing around. But he said that he's really happy. Obviously, he's not going to sit there and be like, oh, yeah, well, I love Newcastle, but I'll leave for Real Madrid. I know he's not going to say that. But he's like his dad's even said, like, he's a very sentimental player. So he thrives off, like, love, off, like, just fan support, off being happy where he is, and he is at the moment. And yeah, I think we'll have him I hope that we'll have him for a long time yet. But yeah, I think he leaves if it's Real Madrid, but that's it.
That's it. What do you mean? What about us? You owe us a favor. We gave you Willock.
No, no. The favor is done when you guys got Odegaard with the Willock money. That was the favor. The favor ended there.
Nah,
in my mind, that favor ended there.
Nah, we gave you Willock. You got Guimaraes, and he mugged us off. Yeah, that was quite funny because I felt like that was aimed at Edu. So that was quite funny. I actually laughed. But one day. Yeah. But you owe us a favor. You ain't giving us nothing.
We're not charity. That's the thing. We're not charity anymore.
We're not charity.
We can actually we can afford to keep these players now. Whereas before we were like, yeah, you can have them for like Burnley, for example. Like we just went to Burnley and said, right, we just want your striker, so we send you down. There's 25 mil. Great. Got 15 mil back from. Great. See you later, Chris Wood. Sent Burnley down as well at the time. So it's just like we can actually do that now, and I'm not used to that from my club at all. Like that's not something that I'm used to. Like we took like Danny Rose off Tottenham for a bit because we were like, oh yeah, we'll just give you a place to play. Like, and we've done stuff like that in the past, but now we actually have decent people at the club who will hold on to these players.
Fair enough. I get it, innit? I get it. For so many years, you've been like taken for all your best players. I get it. You had enough. I get it. Oh yeah, now my people. Big up Kendall and Northside. Are you starting to believe in Mikel? Listen, let's get into Arsenal, bro. What do you mean am I believing, bro? Have we won the league yet? I don't understand all this. Are you believing? Have we won the league yet? Because we ain't won the league yet, and nor have we won the Europa League yet. Do you know what I'm saying? What you need to focus on, my guy, because I know who you are. What you need to focus on is keeping the same energy, because this season I've seen too many Arsenal fans, as always, when Man City started to catch us up on points, the narrative changed. Oh, no, we're not going for the league anymore. Top four. You man getting rattled real quickly. Me, I've kept saying this whole time, ever since I started supporting Arsenal in 92, I've been saying the aim is to win the league. That is it. Yeah. And for me, the standard has always been that standard. And what's so funny is I was called toxic. People like Lee Gunner that I know was called toxic and all that. But now that our standards are being met and we're competing for the league title, everybody that called us toxic is now the happiest they've ever been. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you are welcome, because that is the standard and that is what the club is about. All of a sudden, it's not negative to want to win the Premier League. It's not negative to want to go and then compete next year and win the Champions League. So how about you get on board with what I'm saying, yeah, and realize that this club is about competing, bro. Me and Kendall have both seen our clubs be run like Sainsbury's, like Lidl's, 70% off, 80% off, buy one, get one free deals, 2 for 4, 4 for 3 deals, yeah? It's like it's just a business. It's not competing. It's just about making money. It's just about turning money. That's not what football's about. That's not what we want to see. We want to see trophies. You know what I mean? How gas were you, Kendall, going to the final against Man United? How long have you not seen your club get to a final? I know you didn't win it, but you're seeing progression. You know what I mean? That's what you want to see.
100%.
This is what we want. So people are like, oh, what are you saying now? What are you saying now? When you were twerking, shaking your bum for top 4. You know what I'm saying? Shaking it more like Shakira. Don't talk to me. You know what I mean? Don't talk to me. You know what I'm saying? You're twerking more like the Dominican girls in the club that I was in on Sunday for Dominican Independence Day. Don't talk to me about top 4 and all this. Bro, hold your same standards that you had at the start of the season. This manager has to get Champions League football and win the Europa League. What are you going to say if he bottles the Europa League? We've got Sporting tomorrow. Don't talk. These, you know what it is on the internet, Kendall? Yeah, these men are too quick, yeah, to hold us what we say to account. But every time they get stuff wrong, they go running. Bro, the standard is to win trophies. And if they don't, you better come out to me and explain to me why we didn't. How about that? That's all I'm saying. I ain't got no more to talk about it. What's your standard for your club, Kendall?
Mine's a little bit less. My expectations are probably a little bit less than yours. I just think at the moment it's European football for us this year in whatever capacity that is. As I said earlier, if we don't get European football, I'll be disappointed. Even in any capacity, like if we don't even get Conference League, I'll bet that I'm disappointed because we've literally been top 4, top 5 most of the season now. So then that for me will be like failure, because not failure, but a disappointment, because I'm like, we literally deserve to be there and we haven't. We've crumbled at the worst time. But again, I also don't expect us to be at Champions League level right now. So yeah, top 6 for me is the goal. Top 7 probably at like, yes, I'll take Conference League all day long, 100%. You will see me in Ayia Napa, in Cyprus, chilling with a cocktail by the pool, and I'm going to go and watch Bruno just put on a masterclass in the Conference League. I'll do that. I'll take it, no problem. But yeah, I think top 6 for me this season. I'm not as high standards, drive hard bargain as you, Northside. But I am, yeah, top 6 for me, I think.
Nah, fair enough. We've got a question here. Northside, Kendall, will Liverpool do the unthinkable tonight, or are they going out? Kendall?
Going out, I'm afraid. Sorry to say. They've got to score, what, 3 goals to even take it to extra time.
Yeah.
So you've got to score 4 goals to win, and Real Madrid have scored none at home at the Bernabeu. No, absolutely not in any. Honestly, if that happens, I know the 7-0 the 2 weeks ago, whatever. I get it. 100%. I get it. There's no way on earth. This is not Eric Ten Hag's Man United. Okay, this is Real Madrid. And I'm an Atletico fan, so it's not like I like Real Madrid or anything, but I just cannot see you scoring 4 goals. Like it's not going to be 4-0 away at the Bernabeu. It's just not going to be 4-0. And if it is, I'll eat my words. Honestly, I swear, and I'll back us to win it if it is. But it's just no way.
Nah, I don't see it either, to be honest. Final thoughts on Arsenal. What do you make of Arsenal so far this season?
Honestly, I think Arsenal have had a fantastic season, probably been my favourite team to watch, obviously, aside from, well, even more than Newcastle, because Newcastle at times are not fun to watch because you're stressed. But yeah, outside of Newcastle, they've been my favourite team to watch this season. That's not just because he's the first in the league or anything like that. I think the football that he plays is exceptional. The link-up play that Arsenal have is so good at times. Everyone's been waiting for a flaw. Everyone's been waiting for a fall. It hasn't come yet. Obviously I know there's like results like against Everton and things like that, but we don't. Wow, it's very unlikely, obviously, except previous Arsenal teams, that you're not going to lose a game throughout the season. Just with the quality of the Premier League now, it was a lot different back then. So yeah, I think it's been really good. I think now at this stage, I know a lot of Arsenal fans will want to say that they won't be disappointed if you don't win the league, or that you were never expecting to win the league, and you're not. No one wants to put the eggs in a basket and say we are going to win the league now, which I get, because everyone, as you said, everyone loves to jump on like, oh, you said we were going to win the league and we came second, whatever. But honestly, now I think if you don't win the league, it'll be a really, really huge disappointment. He's literally been top for the whole season. Man City obviously coming up, but I still think he's will win the league. I think I hope he's do anyway. I can't see past you winning the league at the moment. And I think, yeah, you've been good, and it's probably about time that Arsenal are there again now.
There you go, man. Kendall Rowan, Link to her channels in the description. Got higher standards than half this fan base. So make sure you go like and subscribe. This is what I'm talking about. Listen,
this
for
is
me,
not my team, see. Like, if it was my team, then fair enough. I'm like, I'm all like ginger. Like, I'm like, oh, you know, if we finish 8th, it's fine. Whereas I'm like, if you don't win this league, it's a disgrace. Nah, don't clip that, because I'm sorry, I don't mean that. But yeah,
no, it is a disgrace.
It'll be a very, very big disappointment if he's done.
It is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. And trust me, I'll be doing a video at the end of the season cussing everyone one by one.
You'll be like, told you so, told you so.
Bro, you know what? Yeah, like I keep saying, I want to be proven wrong. I am believing now that we can win the league. I am believing that we can win the league. And I've been very reluctant because I've been heartbroken for 19 years. You know, it's been an abusive relationship. We've tried to work it out, but a lot of times it just let me down. You know what I mean? Let me down. Do you know what? Yeah, I was so heartbroken. I wouldn't even go to the pub to watch the game. I got a section of my friends that love pub in it, and I'd go. I love going pub as well. But if a game's on, your Arsenal's, nah, I ain't going, bro. Nah, nah, bro. I'm staying at home. I want to watch it at home in peace and quiet. I didn't have the chance.
No, I know a few people like that. I know a few people who just watch it at home because they don't want like the disappointment. Whereas me, little poor me, I've seen some absolute, as I said earlier, I've had a season ticket since 2006, so I'm literally like, I've seen some absolute like shambolic scenes. Like, I cannot express. I have seen the worst of the worst, like genuinely. I have seen like a centre back plays a forward. Like, honestly, you don't understand what I've seen. But yeah, I fully feel that sometimes you just need to watch it at home by yourself. Like, just the disappointment can stay at home then.
I'm telling you, like, it hurts, man. Like, already, like, I'd go visit my granddad. My uncle's there. As soon as I come in, I ain't even said hi to my granddad yet. My uncle's like, hey, come in. Like, what, bro? He's like, yo, what? No, what happened to your team? Like, you're not battling again. And then he's just mugging me off, like, mugging me to my grandma, mugging me to my aunties, mugging me to my little cousins. Like, bro, you know how many years I went through that? Like, I'm telling you, I'm traumatized. So when people are like to me, oh, do you believe? Bro, do you know the crap I've had to deal with? Portuguese people, you think I'm harsh? Portuguese, go to your local Portuguese cafe and tell them you support Arsenal, and you're going to get the reality check. I'm telling you, they ain't going to give it to you softly. They're going to give it to you harsh. You know what I mean? To the point where you're like, you know what? Yeah, the way you're talking to me, come outside. Come on, let's talk outside, because you're mugging me off now. You know what I mean? They'll be laughing in your face. Like, you'll feel like I don't even want to eat. What are they even coming in for? Like, these men are mugging me off, laughing at me. You know what I mean? I don't even want to be here. I don't even want a super buck anymore. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be. I'm going home. You know what I mean? I'm going home. I'm playing some Call of Duty or something. But that's what it's been like for me. But listen, people, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, visit her hometown. I've been to Newcastle a couple of times with the boys. Newcastle's lit, you know. Newcastle is lit.
It is very good. Obviously, I know that I'm biased, but I've been out all over the country, like literally probably every major city in the country, and Newcastle still, for me, is one of the best. It's one of the best nights out. Even if you don't drink, it's still like a really good city to visit. Like, it's just, there's a lot of culture and stuff. So yeah, come visit me, man. If anyone comes, just shout me and I'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, nah, man. Every time I've been twice. Every time. I mean, you know what's so funny? Yeah, when we landed with the man, then they're just like, I went to the local Tesco's just get a drink. They're like, you's not from London or something like that. I'm like, yeah, we're from London. I'm like, yeah, like straight away. They're just like,
they sniff you out from a mile away. Even I get like slated. So I'm not actually from Newcastle. I'm from Durham, which is like just south of Newcastle, and I get slated even by Geordies for my accent. They're always like, oh, you're not from here. You're from Durham. They always know where you're from. They sniff you out from a mile away. So Durham's a city, like it's like 12 miles south of Newcastle, but like Durham's kind of, if you look on a map, like Newcastle and Sunderland are like this, and Newcastle's up here, Sunderland's down here, and Durham's like bang in the middle of them both, like off the coast. So okay. Like yeah, it's a very like mixed city. There's half Newcastle, half Sunderland fans. So yeah, it's a bit like families are all like a bit, for want of a better word, like interbred with football teams. Like some are Newcastle fans, some are Sunderland fans, even in the same family, it's all a bit mad. So yeah, and if you ever meet someone and they're like from here, they're from Newcastle, and they're like, oh, I support Man U, I'm like, why do you just don't do that? It's like the unwritten rule. You just don't support another club that's not a northeastern club. You're from the northeast.
Yeah, that's mad. That is mad. So how far is it like driving to Newcastle from Durham?
Oh, it's only like 20 minutes. 15 minutes really up the motorway. Yeah, it's not far.
Now I'm telling you, like, I don't know what's better, Liverpool or Newcastle. I've been Newcastle more, but Newcastle's lit, man. Like, the clubs are lit, the people are lit, so friendly. It just shows you how rude. People from London are just rude, man. They're just rude. You know what I mean? For no reason as well. Like, they're just rude. Like, out there, it's like, I don't know. Like, people just, you're lost. People just give you like directions. I just love it outside of London.
I've lived in London as well, and I always laugh at the difference in when I used to come back home. The difference, like, people in London are just they just want to get from A to B as quickly as possible without speaking to anyone, with the least fuss as possible. They're always in a rush. Whereas here, you'll walk down the street and you're like, oh, hiya Pam, hiya Keith, like, how's your mum, how's your auntie? Yeah, really, really good, thank you. Like, oh, what you doing with yourself now? And then you speak to like 15 people down the street. When you're in the train station, you know, you just saunter around like with your bags, like, you're not in a rush. Like, it's just so much like more slow paced up here, and I always do. I used to miss it a lot when I didn't live in the northeast. I used to miss it, but yeah, it's just, I've lived in Amsterdam and I've lived in London, and honestly, the cities like that, everyone's just, goal is to get from A to B as quickly as possible, speak to as little people as possible. If you have to speak, problems. Like, I'll say thank you when I'm in London, and bus drivers are like, or like people in the shops, and they're like, okay. And then I'm just like, oh, am I not meant to say that?
It depends as well where you're around in London, like, depending on what you're into. Like, I'm around a lot of Latin people, so I'm around a lot of like Colombians, Dominicans, Ecuadorians, and obviously because they're from South America, they're very friendly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But if you're going to places I
love London, because it's just, I mean, to be fair, Newcastle's like got a lot of culture. There's a big like Angolan community, Angolan Portuguese community in Newcastle. There's a big Nigerian community, and yeah, it's really, really good. But I do love London, to be fair. I love it, but it is very, very different to Newcastle.
That's what I mean, man. But listen, people, make sure you like and subscribe to Kendall Rowan. Link to her channel is in the description of the video. Kendall, thank you very much for jumping on and raising the standards for the fan base.
Next time the fan base is like, I'm not even an Arsenal fan. Next time the fan base is like second guessing everything, and they're like, oh, we're not going to win the league, I'll just have to come on and do a pep talk. Like, sort yourselves out. Like, get me in that, like, change me, like, you know, on All or Nothing, when I was going to say Pep there. Mikel's doing his little brain on the board and his little heart and his little, let's fucking go, guys. Like, and that just get me out. I'll just do it. I'll just come and do it instead. I'm cheaper than Mikel.
You killed me with that one. Let's go, guys.
Just get me in instead. I'm cheaper.
That was cheeky. That was cheeky still. And I love for jumping on, people. You already know what it is. And yeah, what's your next match?
We've got Nottingham Forest away on Friday. So Friday night kickoff for us. Yeah, Friday night football.
You better win. I'm telling you right now. 3-point collectors to the end of the season.
Gotta be. Oh, we play you guys again. So we've done Man City. We're done with now. We got 1 point off Man City, so I'll take that. I'll take it.
We'll allow you. We'll give you a draw just for that game, and the games you got 3 points. You know what I'm saying? But listen, without further ado, we're out, Gadamba. Say.